Okay, we're talking to Police Chief Wayne McDowell. Chief, tell me a little bit about your thoughts about what has been going on involving officers here at your department.
Um, been very devastating all the way around. Loss of life, a small child, um, which there is no excuse or reason why a child would be left in a vehicle, a running vehicle, intentionally. Um, Such a sad and tragic situation that should have never occurred. Um, my heart goes out to that child and all is related. Um, the officers here that are having to deal with this that even knew that child and I had many dealings with her.
What do you remember about her?
Um, was a very happy, joyful little girl. Some of the conversation with the officers in the last couple of days about how they would go and as a group sometimes do some of these runs and stuff, and they would take turns pushing her in a stroller during the run. Um, it's very hard on the officers here still.
What is the morale like here since this?
Um, it's not good right now. We're devastated. Many of the officers and employees are ticked off, and very upset. Um, so I mean, it's
With
just
who are they upset with? What are they?
with the officers involved because I know this is senseless. It should have never occurred.
Tell me a little bit about when you first learned about what was going on here as far as uh, Cassie and the situation.
Totally shocked. Um, Hard to deal um, with what was going on. Um, like I said, it should have been something that should never happen.
Tell me about how it came about that you were informed. How did Long Beach find out about
Um,
this incident?
I was informed by my assistant chief that received a call from Officer Ladner that he needed to get up there. There was a bad situation in his house.
Did he indicate there was anyone with him, or do you know what?
He did indicate that Officer Barker was at his house too, and her child was unresponsive at the time.
Did he say anything more about?
No, not at that point. He did not say anything else about it.
Okay, did he indicate he had made any phone calls or with the other law enforcement, 911? What had he done already?
My understanding, he had already notified Hancock County 911, and I believe they were already on the scene when he made that call.
Tell me a little bit about Cassie. Tell me a little bit about her as a police officer and just any background in her life that you know of and what you thought of her.
She started with us for about 2 years ago. Um, my understanding when she applied is she came from Florida. She was brought up through the foster care, put herself through college, and went through the Florida certification to become a police officer. She interned with the department in Florida, and then my understanding she reconnected with a parent that was located here in Mississippi and came over here and applied with us.
And how was she as a police officer?
Um, for the most part, she was good. Her supervisors, said she was very polite and cordial with the public. She went above and beyond trying to assist the public.
So, but during her time here, has she's faced disciplinary action? Can you tell us a little bit about what that was and what did that raise concerns for you when that happened?
Yes, there was an occasion back in it was April 14th, she was disciplined. I cannot get into the details about that this time, but rules of conduct violations in which she was suspended for a week, and her probationary period was extended for 90 days.
Did she have to do anything specifically to be able to come back?
There were some circumstances around that discipline action, which I cannot share. I have shared that with other agencies that could be conducting an investigation.
And that would include Hancock?
Yes, that is.
Would it be affected, or how would it relate to the case at hand, or what can you say about that?
It could relate, and that's why I don't want to speculate or go into more details about it to ensure that their investigation goes on without any problems.
What, tell me, the night before all this occurred, Cassie, tell me about who she reported to and what you know of as far as the circumstances that led to her ending up at his home.
I'll say that both officers involved in this case worked the night before. On that shift, there's a lieutenant, a sergeant, and 2 officers. Sergeant Ladner was one of her supervisors, and they got off shift. And my understanding that is after he arrived home, she showed up shortly after to discuss shift issues.
Okay, do you have questions about what was really going on based on?
There is, and that was part of my internal looking into it on the personnel matter side of it.
What are the questions that you have?
Inappropriate relationships, any violation of any other department rules, our vehicle policy in itself. So
What is that policy?
one is the only exception for family members to be in a patrol car would be to transport directly to and from work going to child care.
Okay. And in this case,
Yes.
was there a violation? I mean, what do you say?
Obviously appears that there was if she was at somewhere other than her house or at child care.
Okay. Can you talk about whether you've been able to speak with her, or?
Up until today, I have not had access to her due to medical reasons, not being allowed to make contact with her.
What do you know about how she's doing?
I have not spoken with a doctor exactly how she's doing, so I cannot. Obviously, it's not good.
How do you? I mean, you're a law enforcement officer, and this leaves, I guess, you know, what do you think? How has this affected the public perception of the Long Beach Police Department?
I'm sure it's affecting us negatively. It's a terrible situation. What one officer does affect many people's perception of the whole department. We see that across the nation with everything else that's going on in law enforcement. But it's not. You're going to have people make their own decisions about things, but it's not the way the department or the other officers as a whole. I think every one of us here was extremely shocked by what happened. It was completely unbelievable. I know there's some in the community still. Last night during the cruising parade, I had a couple officers tell me that they were very uplifted by when after the parade went by, all the units that were on poles had to go down to the harbor for the after party, and there were several people clapping and saying, "We support you. Our hearts are with you." So that made them feel very good.
Anything that you would just like to see happen in this case?
Um, Justice be served.
What is justice for you? What do you see as justice for this child?
Um, Personally, as I said earlier, that there's no excuse for it. I believe those responsible should be held accountable,
And
whatever that is.
would that include, what could that include?
Well, that depends on the final investigation of everything and the circumstances behind it completely. If it means charges, it means charges.
Okay. And Officer Ladner, his statement, he indicates that he did not know that the child was in the car. Have you been able to talk to him about that, or what is your
Yes.
understanding?
My understanding, we have talked with him, and he has told us that he did not know the child was in the vehicle.
And at what point did he realize?
After she went out and came back in and told him that she was unresponsive.
And they tried to do.
CPR.
Okay. You know, this has got to be a unique case for you. It kind of brings a shadow on your own department, even though obviously it only involves two people. What do you want the public to know in light of this? I know the father of this child is concerned that she will receive special treatment because she is a law enforcement officer. What would you want to say to the public to reassure them that this case is going to be handled appropriately?
Well, first off, I would hope the public knows that even though they are police officers, that criminal justice system works for everybody. If they did something, they will be charged. I have all faith in another agency and our local prosecuting attorneys that they will come up with the right decision on what to do.
Okay. What about the future of these two officers? What can you tell us about that?
As soon as I complete my investigation, like I say, I will make a recommendation to the city board of what action I feel is necessary.
Can you expand on that at all at this point?
Well, I'm hoping to complete everything as fast as I can, and then the final facts is what I'll present
To
the board of aldermen,
tonight?
if possible tonight.
Okay. Would that, what disciplinary action could be applied in this case?
Anything up to termination.
Okay. Can you say whether or not you are considering termination? What would you say to that exactly?
Of course, on any disciplinary action, you take the circumstances around it, and anything up to termination is possible.
Have you had a lot of thoughts about, since this has happened, have you lost sleep? I mean, what have your nights been like? Who is the focus for you?
Yes, it's been on my mind since the time I was notified about the call. Probably a little bit of sleep, not much eating. It is very much on my mind. I can't get it off my mind. It is devastating.
Who do you see when you close your eyes? When you
Well, not to get too personal with it, but I'm a father and a recent grandfather, and it's saddening. So it's like I couldn't imagine. I cannot imagine.